All right, so in this tutorial, we will learn how to use Microsoft Excel. More specifically, we will be better prepared to organize data charts by sorting them, producing graphs, and deriving necessary equations based on the structure of the graphs. Essentially, we will learn how to create graphs and analyze apparent relationships of the total sales of space heaters over time. This tutorial is mainly aimed for those 14 and up. So some supplies we'll need today is Microsoft Excel app and obviously a laptop computer. Some minor cautions are obviously the price of Microsoft Office. So if you are a student, make sure that your institution provides Microsoft Excel. And also make sure that you have a password protection so your Excel files cannot be copied. All right, so first you are going to create a data set and input all that data into a table. From there, you are going to make a chart. We're going to configure that chart a little bit. And then we are going to make a scatter plot out of the data for space heaters per month. All right, so first we are going to input a title. So what you're going to do is you're going to find this black cross right here. You're going to drag it all the way over to G. Essentially, we're going to go from January to June. So we want to merge A through G to input our title. So what you want to do is you want to go to your Home tab. You want to go to Merge and Center, like that. And you want to say electronic sales, electronic sales over the first 6 months. And from here, we're going to find the data from January to June. So we're going to type January right here. And essentially, we don't need to individually type all these months out into each cell because Excel has a nice little tool where you can just find this little black cross again and drag all the way to G as it recognizes patterns such as dates, numbers, months, etc. So we're going to go all the way to G and it's going to input all the succeeding months. All right, so instead of actually typing each cell out individually for the data, I'm just gonna copy and paste it for you. So I'm gonna do boom. And here's all our data. And what we have here is we're studying a printer, monitor, vacuum cleaner, laptop, etc. What you're gonna do is you're going to go in between this A and B, as you can see, because we do not have all the wording. So double click in between A and B, and that's just gonna fit all the wording into the cell, like that. All right, so now that we have our table all configured, what you are going to do is create a chart. So you want to go to this corner and go all the way down to 174. And you want to capture all the months and the items because the chart is going to display that correctly. So you're going to go up to Insert tab, and you're going to go to Recommended Charts. And about 4 down, you're going to see a clustered column chart. And you want the chart that's going to best display the data. And I feel like a clustered column chart is going to do that efficiently. So I'm going to click that and click OK. Perfect. All right, so we just created a chart. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to change up the chart a little bit just so it actually better defines your chart in terms of the actual data. So what we want to do first is you want to delete the total sales per month from the chart without actually having to delete it from the table. So how are we going to do that? Well, you're going to go to your Format tab, which is up here. You're going to click on that and you're going to go over to this drop-down menu right here. And essentially what we want to change or delete from the chart is the series total sales per month, which is all the way on the bottom. You're going to click that. And it's just going to highlight the data for the total sales per month. So from there, we're going to press the backspace, which is not going to delete the data from the table, but only from the chart as we're in the series tab. Press backspace, and perfect. As you can see each month for each item more clearly, which essentially is what you're going to want to show if you have like a project or something that you need to do for a class. So change this. Next, what we want to do is we actually want to create a chart title. So we're going to create this chart title by going back to this drop-down menu and going over to your chart title tab. going to click on that, and essentially that's just going to highlight the title, and we're going to change it to electronic sales. Like that. All right. Next, you're going to see that you actually don't have any data between 70 and 80. So what we want to do is we want to change the vertical value axes. So we're going to go back up to this drop-down menu right here. We're going to click vertical value axes, which is 6 down. And essentially that's going to highlight this area right here. And we're actually not going to edit anything on the chart. We're going to go back up to format selection, which is right below your drop-down menu. We're going to click on that. And over here, you're going to see a pop-up, minimum, maximum, major, minor, all this stuff. There's a lot you can do to these axes, but what we're going to focus on is the scale. So we're going to go up to the minimum, which is 0, that's perfect, and the maximum, which is 80. And what you're going to do is you're going to change the scale so the data reaches the top of the chart. So we're going to change that to 70. And what that's going to do is that's just going to make each month more distinguishable in terms of the data. All right, so now that we created our chart, we created our table, what we're going to do next is we're going to create a scatter plot, because essentially what we are focusing on at the end of this is a relationship for the space heater sales per month. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to highlight the space heater sales. So we're going to go all the way over to the 9. We're going to go back up to insert tab, and you are going to go down here to the scatter plot tab, which just looks like a bunch of dots and an X and Y axis graph. So we're going to click that, and a drop-down menu is going to show up with this scatter plot, and we're going to choose the top left one. Perfect. So it already has it all labeled, space heater, each month. So essentially this is January, February, March, and so on. So what you want to do is obviously you don't want a bunch of little dots. So we're going to go over to add chart element, which is right here. We're going to click down, and we're going to go down to this trend line bar, and we're going to go to more trend line options. So what this is going to do is this is just going to make a line of best fit. And essentially you can go over here to your column tab, and for different classes you can have different line of best fits. For some classes you can have exponential, parabolic, logarithmic, and usually for STEM classes it's not always going to be linear. But in this case, I believe it is going to be linear. So we're going to click on this linear tab, and we're going to go to display equation on chart. And essentially that's going to bring this equation to your chart. Now for this case, we don't have any initial data for the very first month, as we're doing it per month. So this y-intercept right here, just in this case does not mean anything. But for multiple applications in your STEM fields, a y-intercept could be actually very important. So we're going to focus on this negative 12.486, which is essentially your slope of the line. And what that means is as each month progresses, you're going to lose out on approximately 12.486 space heater sales on average.